when it comes to the educators, it is about the trained mindset that we need to have, because this particular topic.
So most of the gender biases, at least if we look at most of them, they are very subtle in the sense that when you look at a classroom or when you look at the way that certain learning spaces are sort of
From the colors children are drawn to the toys they are encouraged to play with, gender expectations often begin shaping experiences far earlier than we realize. In early childhood classrooms, these subtle messages can influence how children express themselves, build confidence, and understand the world around them. As educators, the question today is not just about inclusion, but about creating spaces where every child feels free to explore, learn, and grow beyond stereotypes. Good afternoon and a warm welcome. You're watching Education News Network. I'm your host, Nitya Krishnamurthy, and today's panel discussion focuses on an important and evolving conversation in early years education. Beyond Pink and Blue, Rethinking Gender in Early Childhood Classrooms. With classrooms becoming more diverse and awareness around identity and inclusivity continuing to grow, educators are being called to reflect on the environments, language, and learning experiences they create for young children. Through today's discussion, we hope to explore how preschools can foster empathy, individuality, and equal opportunities for every learner. Joining us today are two esteemed educators who bring with them valuable insights and years of experience in early childhood education. We have with us Ms. Anupama Eswar, Director of Golden Arch Montessori and founder of EarthLore Academy, Bangalore. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
We also have Mr. Alaap Kumar, Founder Director of Pragyaa Preschool and Daycare, Bangalore. Welcome, sir. Thank you both for joining us today. To discuss the topic, I'd first like to invite Ms. Anupama Eswar. So, ma'am, in early childhood classrooms, how can educators move beyond traditional pink and blue stereotypes in everyday learning experiences?
Okay. Well, when it comes to the educators, it is about the trained mindset that we need to have, because this particular topic itself is an evolving one, as you said. There are lots to the gender bracket as of now. It's not just pink and blue, or it is beyond boy and girl, right? So I feel the educators need to be really equipped with the knowledge of what is the current trend that is, say, the Gen Z is holding, or we are at the Gen Alpha, but Gen Z is the prominent one right now, and how is the Gen Z reacting to it? And that readiness is very important for the educators. And when it comes to the preschool years, it is with that mindset that they need to perceive. It is not about what I think about it, it is all about the perspective of the world. So once the educators are trained to this mindset, it is easier for us to, for example, it has been in the classrooms for several years that, you see a child carrying some, delicious food. You want to strike a conversation with this child. And you would say that, oh, your mom has cooked such lovely food for you. But I think this is where the educators need to be sensitive, that it could be the mom or the dad who's probably cooked this food for her. Right. Okay, and that is the message, probably the subtle messages that we could be dropping into the child's head, wherein the child is perceiving that yes, this particular task or chore could be for the dad or the mom.
It's not gender specific
it's
anymore.
not gender specific at all. Yeah. So, and there are various other elements that the educators need to keep in mind. Of course, it is like at our center, it was a day when we had an expert who came in to tune us to the fact that these are the various, the gender fluidity that is existing, right? So, but yet for this age group of the early years, of course, the child is still not conscious about, what is going to be next for them. It is more obviously the boy and the girl. Okay, so with that perspective that the teacher could hold, the educator, the facilitator there, it is a lot of difference that you can make in terms of, being non-judgmental.
Right.
So either ways, it's like, I would say, even if it is a lesson, especially when it comes to the Montessori approach, we would never judge anything. Say, for example, it could be a history lesson. Okay, it could be a war between, studying about a war in, say, our elementary ages, or, you're talking about something to the earlier children as well. So we would never say that, this team is bad or this team is good. It's open to, for the child to reflect and, create that, judgment, whether it's right or wrong for oneself. So it is the same wherein, the boys are meant to, be robust, be very physical and running around, and the girls are meant to be soft natured and, doing this task in the classroom. So I think the educators should think beyond that, not to specifically look at, okay, this is something that a boy can do and this is something that a girl can do. So this actually matters a lot when it takes a long way in the child's mind.
So, Mr. Alaap, Kumar, coming to you, what are some subtle gender biases we may unknowingly reinforce in preschool settings through language, toys, or expectations?
So most of the gender biases, at least if we look at most of them, they are very subtle in the sense that when you look at a classroom or when you look at the way that certain learning spaces are sort of arranged. So when you look at, for example, saying that, we have a construction setup and wherein it's meant for boys, or you have a certain dollhouse and it's, only meant for girls. And these are certain areas where, it has to be gender neutral, in the sense that although most of the things which are picked up by the children are most certainly, nowadays at least, they pick up most of the things from the environment. And at least if you look at some of the spaces in the preschool, like whatever, whether it's a learning area or whether it's play area, if we are arranging certain things which sort of subtly indicate that it is it is for this particular gender, then it most ideally plants an idea in their head at that particular age, saying that, this is only for boys or this is only for girls. And it's not only about the areas, it's also about the way that the educators actually speak to the children, in the sense that nowadays, at least in the earlier days, most of the teachers used to say, okay, boys don't cry, or, this is not a very girl-like sort of behavior. So that is something that needs to be worked on, at least from the preschool age, where, we need to sort of have a sort of very holistic sort of environment which says that, no, it's not that it's either a boy or a girl. This is the way this, things work. And it's not bad to be emotionally expressive for boys, at least because that is the most common thing that we always hear, right? Boys don't cry, or, these
and
things.
That becomes a problem later in life.
That becomes a problem later in life, where we find that those particular boys are not able to express themselves.
Correct.
Or when you look at certain girls, or at least in our preschool, we always have a lot of different competitions, and we have a lot of different things where we have pick and speak and public speaking and all that. And most of the time we feel, nowadays at least, girls take more initiative, and more often than not, it's often found that, boys are generally more in leadership roles rather than girls. So these are all certain areas where, if we try to implement those changes, at least in these formative sort of years, we feel that going ahead, at least the mindset of the children that we are educating, it'll be more in a sort of, progressive sort of way rather than being in a regressive way. But hopefully, nowadays, at least most of the educators and most of the preschools that, that we have seen are sort of implementing these changes. And I feel, at least going forward, I don't think that, it'll be more gender neutral is what, I feel.
Right. So, Ms. Anupama, how can teachers encourage children to freely explore interests and emotions without attaching them to gender?
I think it's all about the instances that teachers could even, say, quote. There are a lot of stories that happens in the preschool years. So I've generally heard this happening. Okay, you're just narrating a story. It's like, oh yeah, the pilot was like dashing into the skies, and he was like, it's that he what matters when it comes to the teacher delivering something. And it's always sat, at least in us the millennials, that there's a lot of discrimination between he and she, though it is not a matter at all nowadays. It is a changed perspective, but this is still there in us. So the teachers right now are definitely not even the Gen Zs, they are in their, probably the one before Gen Z, yeah, the millennials only. Okay, most of the teachers are millennials, and they are the ones who've been brought up in this. It's like, for example, even I had this home atmosphere where my brother was always given an extra cushion. Rather than, I mean, it's like it's never been equal is what I sense. And that is when, since childhood, I've had this, it's the similar, the atmosphere that the teachers have been brought up, and they are the ones who are going to, who are being with our children now. So it is very important that, they make a conscious effort in looking at, how do I change this? It's very natural. It's not that they intend to. So it is very important for them. It should be a conscious driven activity for the teachers, for the facilitators, to be very, very careful,
Yes.
cautious about what is being told. Okay. So I think that is
Right.
important.
So, Mr. Alaap, what role do storybooks, classroom materials, and play spaces hold in shaping children's understanding of gender?
Yeah. Like I said earlier, I mean, if you look at storybooks or if you look at learning spaces, most of the things, at least in the earlier days, were more gender specific, in the sense that when you look at a certain role that a man is supposed to play or a woman is supposed to play, most of the things that are portrayed in the books were like that. So if you say, like, a pilot is supposed to be a guy, and a lady is supposed to be this, a teacher or something else. So if we are looking, or if we are sort of implementing these sort of things in our in our existing era, or in the 21st century, it sort of reinforces the fact that, we are still staying in that particular era. And at least what we try to do is, we have more sort of, we come up with a lot of different themes where we say that, okay, for a boy, it is okay to be, it is okay to cook, or it is okay to do a lot of different things without any sort of stigma being attached to it. So you have, when we have certain role play activities, so we often, sort of switch up the roles, and we say that, okay, you're supposed to do this, and, as a girl, you can do this and do that.
Because I remember back in our time, boys never played with kitchen sets.
Yes.
They were limited to girls.
They were
Yes.
limited.
Yeah.
And so when we actually do this, we actually give them the freedom to express themselves and to sort of move out of the box, in the sense that, we often don't limit their sort of thinking to a particular area. So the main thing is, it's always, the main idea here, what I would like to say is, it's not possible to actually erase the gender bias which is there. We have to work in such a way that we have to make it sort of acceptable, and we have to say, okay, I mean, whatever role you want to play, or whatever you would like to do in life, that is okay. And it should not be limited by the fact that, this is what you learned when you were young, and boys are not supposed to do this, or girls are not supposed to do that. That actually limits their sort of thoughts and the way, they shape up.
Correct.
So that is the thing. So when you look at, I mean, like I said, even if you're talking about learning spaces or different sort of things, we often don't sort of color code a specific area. When you look at either, it can be of any color, it can be of any particular, object, not limiting to a particular gender. So when you said that, this sort of space is not only meant for girls. So a dollhouse, yeah, of course, why not? I mean, this is the thing, and you guys are free to sort of go and explore if you would like to. So this is something that can be worked on at a very young age. And once we remove that sort of limiting beliefs which are there or which was there earlier, I feel that going forward, kids in general, they'll be able to express themselves better, and they'll grow up to be more confident sort of individuals without having that general sort of bias which is there.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, as a preschool, we are always trying to come up with a lot of different innovative techniques to sort of break that barrier, and sort of, it can be a simple thing like a cooking competition, or it can be anything. It can be a storytelling sort of event, or it can even be a role play sort of an event, like I said. So when you assign a particular thing that no, I would like to do this. So the parent also should be a part of that, and they should say that ultimately what we feel is more than the school, the parents also are sort of responsible. They are the first teachers, in fact.
Correct.
So it is sort of important to have that sort of a bond with the parents, and to make sure that they're also in line with whatever we are trying to inculcate.
Correct. I was just coming to that, in fact.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Ms. Anupama, could you tell us, since we've been speaking about the role of educators so far, so how can schools work with parents to create more gender-inclusive environments, both at school and at home?
Right.
Because I'm sure they both need to be on the same page.
Exactly. So a parent's role is almost, the stakeholders of, the development of a child is equally with the parent. So it is a continuous effort for us to talk to the parent. We've not probably started to do this in specific to this area where, we find a lot of difference that is coming up in terms of being gender neutral. But in cases, where we find that a child is, very strong one. There was a child who said Bharatanatyam is for girls. It's not my thing, and I want to take maybe karate or football. So in such cases, we definitely pick out, and we would like to meet the parent and make them understand that this particular sensitivity to this has been through the home environment. It could be even the grandparents at home. It could be a lot of influence that comes from any member of the family, right? It is, I've seen people, oh, you're a boy, you're not going to sweep the floor, or you're not going to clean this. Okay, this is a girl's job. Okay, so such things we do observe in our environments, especially being a Montessori. We have something called as activities of practical life, wherein there is even sweeping, there is anything with the cooking thing, chapati making, such things, where we've had grandparents coming in and talking to us saying that you can't get this done with my grandson.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, are they cooperative in such cases?
So we've had cases a lot more earlier, but now it has definitely reduced, and grandparents have kind of probably given up on the fact that it has to be so, and we've seen reduced numbers of such turns. Yeah. So we also see that parents are taking equal responsibilities with their chores at home, especially, and this is actually reflecting on the child. We see that it is not only a boy, it is also a girl's thing, or it is not only a girl's thing, it can be a boy's one. So these are something we do specific. It's nothing that we call out a meeting and say that yes, you need to be sensitive to this and so on. But it could be the case going forward when we see that we need to inculcate, as I said, the future is going to be much more than just boy and girl. So when it comes to that, I think we will have to have some kind of conversations or meetings with parents to help us deal with it.
But this, I think, is a good thing about modern parenting, as you're saying, that there are shared roles at home now, so must be better than earlier times.
Definitely.
Okay, so lastly, Mr. Alaap Kumar, as educators preparing children for the future, what does a truly inclusive early childhood classroom look like today?
So actually a truly inclusive classroom, firstly, I feel is not defined by any sort of gender bias. And see, here when we talk about a classroom, I mean the center stage, I mean the child always takes the center stage. So when we look at it from a child's point of view, what I feel is either a boy or a girl must be able to express himself or herself freely without being judged. I feel that is one of the most important thing when we talk about any classroom, and especially when we talk about an inclusive sort of classroom. They should be able to, express themselves, and they should be able to be comfortable in their own skin. And more than the academics, I think it's all about learning life skills. So because we also have a system where we follow a lot of Montessori practices, and they learn a lot of daily life skills, and they learn a lot of different sort of social skills which are required. So I feel that when we talk about inclusivity, I feel this is something that needs to be learnt by the kids. And secondly, I feel I think it's more of the teacher's role to sort of make the children feel comfortable, and to make sure that they are able to express themselves freely. Basically, that is what I feel. So the main idea here is the teachers have to be empathetic to the children, whether it's a boy or a girl. Not saying that you don't behave like this, or whoever it may be, and not drop labels, or not have any sort of judgment based on how they react to a certain situation. So academic or otherwise, I mean, academics is of course a part of it happens eventually. I mean, as long as the child is settled, and as long as the child is comfortable in their own skin, I think learning happens at its own pace, because every child is different. We need to give each child a lot of time to sort of get used to the place and get used to the teachers and everything. So once that is happening, I guess the academic part happens. But then as educators, I feel it is our role to have to make sure that as much as possible within the line between these sort of biases which happen on a day-to-day basis, and we make sure that these sort of things are not happening. I mean, it can be like ma'am said, I mean, we can have a parent workshop or a parent meeting where we actually subtly put this across, saying that this is not the case, or your child is sensitive to this thing, but this is not the way things are right now.
And in your experience, has that been fruitful?
Yes, in certain cases it has been, not with the grandparents though, but definitely with the parents, because I mean, it's a different generation, right? It's a stronger mindset. And I feel the parents nowadays are more accepting, because of the fact that, like I said, I mean, both parents are working, and most of the times, more often than not, we see the fathers doing the cooking, and at least in our in the current
and also a lot of cases of single parents now.
Single
so
parents
they see
as well.
Parents doing all roles.
They see parents doing everything. So that is a topic where there's also a certain sort of stigma attached to single parents, and these sort of things. That is also something that we want to sort of make sure that the child doesn't feel that he or she is not accepted because of the fact that he's being raised by a single parent, right? I mean, inclusivity may not be just gender bias. It can mean a lot of things. So it takes a lot of time to actually put things across. But then, yes, I mean, if we are working with the stakeholders like the parents and pretty much everybody, I guess over a period of time, I guess we would be able to have a truly inclusive sort of learning area.
Maybe to add the point where we would need to work on this, communication or understanding with the parent.
Right.
I think I would consider it a day when the parent would come and say that, yes, my son can sign up for Bharatanatyam.
Right.
So that is the time I could probably even say that, yes, now the parents have kind of come to the extent where let me focus on the interest of the child rather than the stigma of, it's always been the heritage of one particular interest for the boys or girls. So I think that is the day when we are kind of winning over this gender bias.
Let's hope that day comes soon. On that note, we come to the end of today's discussion. A heartfelt thank you to both our panelists for sharing such thoughtful and meaningful perspectives.
Thank you.
What today's conversation tells us is that early childhood classrooms are often a child's very first experience of society. The language we use, the stories we tell, the activities we encourage, and the expectations we set all play a role in shaping how children see themselves and others. Moving beyond pink and blue is not about removing individuality, but about expanding possibilities, allowing children the freedom to express, explore, and grow without limitations created by stereotypes. As educators and parents, perhaps the goal is not to define who children should become, but to create environments where they feel safe enough to be themselves. Thank you for watching Education News Network. For more such discussions, do visit our channel, theenn.com, and make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. For now, signing off, this is Nitya Krishnamurthy.